Let me answer the question straight because it costs sellers real money every week. What are seller concessions in real estate? They are money you hand back to your buyer out of your own proceeds on closing day. Here is what that actually looks like. A buyer offers you $400,000 for your house. You accept and you tell your family you got your price. 6 weeks later, you sit down at the closing table and your check is written for 388,000. Nobody stole anything from you. You agreed to it in writing on the day you were celebrating. A concession is the only line in your contract that arrives dressed as a favor and behaves like a price cut. And it is the line nobody explains before you sign it. A concession is not a discount on the price. That distinction is the whole video. So stay with me. Your buyer has two piles of money to find. The first is the down payment, the second is closing costs, and that pile is the one that breaks deals. Lender fees, title insurance, the appraisal, recording fees, taxes, and insurance paid in advance. On a $400,000 purchase, that second pile commonly runs somewhere between $12,000 and $20,000, and it has to be cash on the day on top of the down payment. So the buyer asks you to pay it. The contract still says $400,000, and so does the public record your neighbors will look at. But a line in that contract says the seller shall credit the buyer $12,000 toward closing costs, and that 12,000 comes off your side of the settlement statement. That is the sleight of hand. The price stayed, your money left. Here is the discipline that protects you, and almost nobody applies it in the moment. When two offers land on your table, stop comparing prices. Prices are marketing. Compare the number at the bottom of the net sheet, the one your agent or your title company can produce in about 5 minutes. Take a real pair. Offer one is $400,000 with no concessions. Offer two is $410,000 with 15,000 in concessions to the buyer. Offer two is the one that gets accepted at kitchen tables all over the country because 10,000 more sounds like winning. Run it. Offer one leaves you 400,000. Offer two leaves you 395,000. The offer that looked $10,000 better is $5,000 worse. And the difference has been sitting in plain sight the whole time on a document nobody asked to see. And there is a second cost buried in offer two that nobody mentions. Your agent's commission, your transfer taxes, and your title fees are all calculated on the higher contract price. You pay a percentage on $410,000 while netting on $395,000. You are paying fees on money you never received. Now, the part that surprises sellers who think this is purely a negotiation. The buyer's loan program sets a hard ceiling on what you are even allowed to give, and those ceilings are published. On a conventional loan for a primary residence, the cap moves with the buyer's down payment. A buyer putting down less than 10% can only receive 3% of the price in seller contributions. Between 10 and 25% down, it rises to 6%. More than 25% down, 9%. An investment property is held to 2%. An FHA buyer can receive up to 6%. A VA buyer can receive up to 4% in concessions on top of the customary closing costs the seller already pays. A USDA buyer, 6%. Read that conventional rule again because it is backwards from how it feels. The buyer with the least cash, the one who needs the most help, is allowed the least. If your buyer is putting 5% down on that $400,000 house, the maximum you may legally contribute is $12,000. If that buyer asks for 18,000, that deal cannot close as written, however much you both want it to. The excess does not get waved through. It gets cut days before closing, and someone has to find the difference. Ask one question early before you counter anything. What loan is my buyer using and how much are they putting down? That single answer tells you the ceiling you are negotiating under. There is one more party at this table, and unlike your buyer, this one is not on anyone's side. The appraiser is instructed to identify sales concessions and account for them. A house that changed hands for $410,000 with $15,000 handed back is not a $410,000 sale, and a competent appraiser will not treat it as one. The risk lands on you. Inflate the price to cover a large credit, and you have given the appraisal further to fall. Come in low, and your buyer's loan shrinks to the appraised value, and now you are renegotiating the deal you thought you had won at the worst possible moment with your own moving truck booked. So, what are seller concessions in real estate? They are a price cut wearing a costume. Used deliberately, they are also a useful tool because a buyer who is short on closing cash and firm on price is a real buyer, and a credit closes that deal when a price reduction would not. Three things before you agree to any of it. Ask what loan your buyer is using and what they are putting down, because that sets your legal ceiling before you negotiate at all. Demand a net sheet on every offer and compare the bottom lines, never the prices. And remember, you pay commission and transfer taxes on the contract price, not on what you keep. None of this means say no. It means know the number you are actually being offered. I am not your attorney or your lender, and the caps I quoted change with the loan program and the year, so confirm yours before you sign. If this was useful, the Free Sellers Playbook at Profitable Homes has the net sheet worksheet in it. Subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.